Hello YouTube, Lovell Hawes, prior enlisted Marine, military history buff, and just in general somebody who does a lot of research. And this one's going to be an Ask Why video. Why can't we adjust our tuition assistance programs to be more responsive to the economy? Like say the top 100 jobs as far as need. One such case I happen to know is one where you wouldn't accrue any student loan debt at all. It is getting your commercial driver's license and driving for a trucking company. And you need CDLA combination air brake. And you might even have to do triple, which would mean where you'd have two trailers plus the tractor on the same configuration. But I've actually seen ads on the back of the rigs that are advertising as much as $1 per mile, which if you're averaging about 60 miles an hour, that's $60 an hour. So $60 an hour, that's more than a six-figure salary right there a year. It's actually pretty close to $120,000 a year. That's a lot of money. And that doesn't count any benefits and they will pay you, and they also pay you to do a lot of the training. It's like once you get the CDL learner's permit, the company will actually finish training you at their expense. Like if you were to say work for say CR England or Western Express or JB Hunt, those guys would actually pay for you to finish getting your license, and they would have you train with a more experienced trucker until they're confident that you can handle a rig by yourself. Or they might pair you up with a co-driver. But at that point, you are getting $60 an hour where you might be working 10-hour days. True, that's a lot of long, hard miles. But at the same time, when all is said and done, you're looking at more than $100,000 in your bank account by the end of the year. In fact, for years I've known about truckers who have cleared six figures by the time they're done with everything. And that's not counting the owner drivers, the ones who actually own their own company and drive. So you could actually have a little bit more freedom of choice as to what loads you have, and that doesn't even count if you get something like hazmat certifications, which you could actually be a local gasoline delivery truck, and you'd get paid buku bucks for that kind of thing. So, or say a certification as a welder. You could also, again, make much money in that regard. Again, you're looking at six figures. Or another job that's in demand. Like, say those two jobs are not your cup of tea, but you want to be in the medical field. Go get a BSN. Instead of actually having the FAFSA money be dispersed amongst all of the degrees, nice and even based upon income, why don't you base it upon what the economy actually needs? The top 100 jobs that are in need, for example, and transfer it away from the degrees that don't help the economy as much. And if you're worried about something like, say, you want to be a little bit more creative, well, I happen to know a drafter still learns a fine art where they have to manually draw before they even put it on AutoCAD. And in some cases, they actually have to be able to render it. A little something that you would normally associate with, say, video gaming or to CGI. So, or how about a mechanical engineer? They have to come up with creative solutions to actually basically invent something that will actually help with a certain situation. Electrical engineers, they make six figures as well. And oh, by the way, if you happen to have Google set up in your house to where it's set or connects to a locking system and connects to your refrigerator and all this other stuff, electrical engineer did the schematics on every single one of those circuit boards. They had their hands in all of that. So, yeah, I was like, towards that end, I'm going to use a rather generic examples. It's like, but to think about it this way, how likely are you to get a job if you went and even got your doctorate in liberal arts painting? I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean, or say it's gender studies or who knows what it is. Yeah, it's like at that point, yeah, it's like if you want to to learn those skills, fine, but you can do it out of pocket. So that would mean if you want to do it without cost, you'd have to do something, go into a field that helps the economy out big time. And I was like, can you imagine being paid to go to school to be, to go get your RN or an LPN? Could you imagine being paid for certain degrees, or certain certifications, such as where I just mentioned with the trucking? Could you imagine being paid to actually look into taking these classes, to take them before you're even hired? So you not only have no debt, but you have something that pays the bills. And every 5 years or so, adjust. Like, I don't know, maybe the truckers are number 3 on the list. Well, about 5 years of making it so that way people are being paid to learn how to be truckers, but all of a sudden maybe put it somewhere down to like 97th or something. Well, they'd still get that little bit of extra. But after 10 years, you might see it outside of that top 100. Well, something else will take its place. And that makes it more responsive to the economy as it is. So if you need, for example, more project managers, people taking project management degrees will actually be able to go to these classes and get paid to go become project management professionals and hopefully even a project director, because that's an awesome job. I just recently checked. A project director can make up to $490,000 a year. And it would get these people good, solid careers where even if they did have $100,000 in student loan debt, well, as a project manager making $490,000 a year, that's not a problem. It's like a couple of years, debt gone. So, why can't we adjust our FAFSAs to be like that? So, there you go. It would actually make it so that way the people that need good jobs get good jobs. It would actually allow for there to be no student loan debt. It would incentivize people to actually benefit the economy in a way that hasn't been seen in decades. A lot of people don't do it. Would also bring attention to the jobs that a lot of us were unaware of. If I had known that driving a big rig at 18 years old, if I'd known if I could drive a big rig, I would have tried to be a Model T driver. So that way I would at least have some experience driving a 7-ton, for example. I would have tried driving that thing for a while I was in service instead of, and then I would have taken it and converted it into a CDL driver's license and would have driven an actual rig, which, granted, weighs significantly more, but at that point, you're already familiar with the way and feel of such a large vehicle feels. Yeah, it's like, but yes, these jobs do exist. I'm bringing attention to them, and I was like, if I could actually get to where I can work at all, the neuropathy is still proving to be a pain. I would probably consider going and doing the DOT physical, the CDL license, combination, air brake, and maybe even follow up with a manual on the driver's license, try and learn how to drive the rig manually, so that way it was like I could hop behind the wheel of any rig and maybe even do the triples. And that way I could actually drive these rigs and be the one making six figures. Although personally I would love to finish my project management degree myself and make that proverbial $490,000 eventually being a project director. But that's just me. I'm looking forward to taking advantage of the tuition assistance at Walmart, which, by the way, Walmart has a heck of a tuition assistance program. I fully suggest you look into it. They do need a lot of people at the distribution centers right now. So if you're anywhere near Mount Crawford, Virginia, those guys need a lot of people, especially in shipping and case lot. It's a very physical job, but if you happen to have a little bit of muscle to spare and can work safely, they will be happy to have you. So, and that's even goes to the jobs that don't even require a high school degree. And I was like, they're talking about $15 an hour minimum wage. I was making $24.90 working in shipping at the Walmart distribution center. And all I did for that 10 hours a day was take a box off the conveyor belt and stick it on the truck. Box off the conveyor belt and stick it on a truck. And some of the boxes were big and heavy and other ones not so much. And it's like, all you had to do was basically, you're loading up the truck that's actually going to the store. But $24.90 plus a 401k right off the bat, plus 6% matching on the 401k, plus that tuition assistance program. But get this, even if you went to school all year round for 3 classes, you would not have more than $1,000 a year if you went through their tuition assistance program. They also have all the bells and whistles as far as insurance goes. Health, dental, vision. Yeah, it's like even life insurance policy, because working inside that distribution center can be a little dangerous, admittedly, because of the fact that the pit equipment, powered industrial trucks, weigh at least about 6,000 pounds. Roughly about twice as much as your average four-door sedan. And it's like they can move at basically a jogger speed. So at least 6,000 pounds up, and that's with them being empty. So they can weigh a heck of a lot more than that. And they're moving at that kind of speed. Yeah, you have an argument with one of those things, you're not going to win the argument, buddy. So it's kind of jobs like those. Make it so that way the tuition assistance and the federal government is more responsive to that. And in turn, since a lot of people are talking about student loan debt is too much anyway, I could actually see, okay, maybe we can forgive, or we can actually not forgive, but actually eliminate the interest. So that way, what they're paying on is only the principal. So that way, if they do happen to get a student loan, or gotten student loans up before this point, then they don't have to pay on the interest of it anymore. And that's I would actually say that would probably be a good idea for everybody under the existing programs. And there would be some programs that would disappear because they're not in demand anymore. And other programs that would appear because they are in demand. Point is that if you have somebody that's making a 6-figure salary, they're not going to have student loan debt for very long. It's like, even if it's like, even if somehow, it's like, say, Harvard, for example, had a BSN program that cost you 6 figures a year, the tuition assistance program could actually help you finish that BSN, and that's actually, your average nurse can make north of $60,000 a year anyway. So then, it would take them a little while longer, but that's actually easier paid. And better yet, they want for work never, ever again. It's like the nurses, for example, were in shortage before COVID, for example. And some of these other jobs were in shortage, like truckers, like welders. So, as a result, if you don't mind it's like if you don't mind adjusting as well, which a lot of people won't, they'll actually find they like the job once they start seeing the first paycheck. And some of them might actually find a talent that they did not know they had. So, I'd say adjust the FAFSA according to the demands of the economy. And like I said, every 5-10 years, readjust and readjust and readjust. And in fact, you could probably make it kind of like a census year, where every 10 years there's another census and they readjust the districts, congressional districts accordingly. So, we could do something like that. Why aren't we? I've been Lovell. You guys have been awesome. And I'll be talking to you in the next video. The next one will be a TikTok video